The first thing you need to understand about my wife Amanda is that she never did anything halfway. When she decided to redecorate our living room, she gutted the entire first floor. When she started her fitness journey, she bought enough workout gear to stock a small gym. So when she announced she needed space to find herself, I should have known she meant permanently. "Jake, I just need some time to figure out who I am outside of this marriage," she said, standing in our kitchen with a suitcase that looked suspiciously pre-packed. Her yoga mat was sticking out the top, along with what appeared to be her entire collection of athletic wear. For someone seeking spiritual enlightenment, she sure packed a lot of sports bras. I'm a home inspector by trade, which means I've developed a keen eye for structural problems. The foundation of our marriage had been showing cracks for months, but I'd been too busy fixing other people's houses to notice my own was falling apart. "How long are we talking about here?" I asked, setting down my coffee mug on the granite countertop she'd insisted we install last year. "I don't know. A few weeks, maybe a month. I'm going to stay with my cousin Brittany while I sort things out." Brittany. The same cousin who'd been divorced 3 times and considered herself a relationship expert. The one who posted daily inspirational quotes about knowing your worth and toxic masculinity on social media. Perfect. "And you need to completely cut contact with me to do this soul-searching?" Amanda's jaw tightened. "I think it would be healthier if we had some boundaries while I process everything." Within an hour, I discovered exactly what those boundaries looked like. She'd blocked me on every social media platform, changed her relationship status to "it's complicated," and apparently activated some kind of digital fortress around herself. When I tried calling, it went straight to voicemail. The house felt different without her constant chatter about organic smoothie recipes and her co-workers' drama. Quieter, but not necessarily peaceful. More like the silence you hear right before a storm hits. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I spent the next few days going through the motions of normal life. Work, eat, sleep, repeat. But something was nagging at me, the same instinct that helped me spot foundation issues and electrical problems in the houses I inspected. Something about Amanda's departure felt rehearsed, too smooth. On Thursday evening, my buddy Eddie called from his bartending shift at the Rusty Anchor, our town's premier dive bar. "You might want to sit down for this one, Jake," he said, his voice carrying that careful tone people use when they're about to ruin your day. "I'm already sitting. What's going on?" "Your wife's been posting all over social media about her spiritual journey and healing process. Real deep stuff about toxic relationships and finding inner peace." "Okay, so she's going full New Age guru. Not exactly shocking." "Yeah, well, here's the thing. She's been tagged at places around town. Yesterday she was at CrossFit Elite with some guy named Tyler. Today she's posting from his apartment complex." Tyler. I knew that name. Amanda had mentioned him a few times over the past couple of months. Her new workout partner, she'd said. Just a friend who was helping her with her fitness goals. "Send me screenshots," I said. "Jake, maybe you should just..." "Send them!" 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed with a series of images that painted a very clear picture. Amanda, glowing with post-workout endorphins, standing close to a guy who looked like he'd walked off the cover of a fitness magazine. Tyler something or other, with his perfect stubble and compression shirts that showed off muscles I didn't even know existed. But it was the body language that told the real story. The way she leaned into him, her hand resting on his chest in one photo. The way he had his arm around her waist in another, both of them laughing at some private joke. I sat in my empty living room, staring at these images, and felt something shift inside me. Not anger exactly. More like the cold clarity that comes when you finally see the structural damage you've been ignoring. Amanda wasn't finding herself. She was finding someone else. And she'd been finding him long before she packed that convenient suitcase. Being a home inspector teaches you patience and thoroughness. When you suspect termites, you don't just look at the obvious damage. You check the foundation, examine the crawl spaces, and follow every trail until you understand the full extent of the problem. I decided to apply the same methodology to my marriage. First, I needed better intelligence. Amanda had blocked me everywhere, but she'd forgotten about the old tablet we used for recipes in the kitchen. It was still logged into her Instagram account, giving me a front-row seat to her spiritual awakening. Her posts were masterpieces of self-righteousness. Photos of sunrise yoga sessions with captions about releasing toxic energy. Pictures of green smoothies accompanied by quotes about choosing yourself. And sprinkled throughout, subtle hints about her new life. Grateful for the people who see your authentic self, she'd written under a photo of herself and Tyler at some trendy juice bar downtown. Sometimes the universe puts exactly who you need in your path when you're ready to receive it, accompanied a picture of them hiking together. Each post had dozens of likes and supportive comments from her friends. "You're glowing! So proud of you for choosing happiness. Living your best life, queen." I recognized most of the commenters. Women from her yoga class, co-workers from the marketing agency where she worked, and her cousin Brittany, who was apparently serving as her personal cheerleader and social media manager. But it was the timestamps that really caught my attention. Some of these photos with Tyler were taken weeks ago, long before her sudden need for space and self-discovery. I started screenshotting everything, organizing it chronologically. My sister Carla stopped by on Saturday morning, ostensibly to check on me, but really to gather intel for the family gossip network. "You look terrible," she announced, letting herself in with the spare key Amanda had given her years ago. Thanks. Really what I needed to hear right now. Carla worked as a freelance journalist for the local paper, which meant she had both the investigative instincts of a detective and the discretion of a town crier. But she was loyal, and right now, I needed someone on my team. Eddie told me about the social media situation. Want me to do some digging? What kind of digging? The kind I'm good at. Background checks, social media archaeology, maybe a little light stalking of public records. I showed her the screenshots I'd collected. Her eyebrows climbed higher with each image. "Oh, honey," she said finally. "This isn't a spiritual journey. This is a transition plan." "What do you mean?" "Look at the progression. She starts posting about needing change and growth 3 months ago. Then Tyler starts appearing in her photos. Then the posts about toxic relationships and knowing your worth. She's been building a narrative, Jake, getting her friends used to the idea that you're the problem and Tyler's the solution." That afternoon, Carla texted me with Tyler's full name and basic stats. Tyler Brooks, 28 years old, personal trainer at CrossFit Elite, recently moved to town from Portland. No criminal record, but a pattern of dating older women who were going through divorces. "Professional home wrecker," was how Carla summarized it. This guy's got a type, and that type is emotionally vulnerable married women with disposable income. Sunday evening, Eddie called again. "They're here," he said without preamble. "At the bar. Want me to take some photos?" "Are they being obvious about it?" "Put it this way. If they were any more obvious, they'd be charging admission." 20 minutes later, my phone buzzed with a video Eddie had discreetly recorded. Amanda and Tyler, sitting in a corner booth, her legs draped over his lap while he fed her appetizers. She was wearing the dress I'd bought her for our anniversary last year. In the video, I could see her throwing her head back, laughing at something he'd said. The same laugh she used to reserve for my jokes, back when she thought I was funny instead of just another source of toxic energy. "You want me to go over there and say something?" Eddie asked when he called back. "No. Let them think I'm sitting at home feeling sorry for myself." "What's the plan then?" I looked around my empty house, at the framed photos of Amanda and me that she'd left behind, at the life we'd built together that she was so eager to escape. The plan is patience. She wants to play games? Fine. But she's about to learn that I'm better at this than she thinks. The next morning, I did something I hadn't done in 15 years. I reactivated my old boxing gym membership. Coach Martinez remembered me, even after all these years away from the ring. He was pushing 70 now, but still had the sharp eyes of someone who'd spent decades reading people's intentions before they threw a punch. "Jake Morrison," he said, looking up from wrapping another fighter's hands. "Figured you'd forgotten all about this place. Just needed a reminder of who I used to be." He studied my face for a moment, taking in whatever he saw there. "Woman trouble?" "Something like that. Well, you still remember how to hit things? Let's find out." The gym hadn't changed much. Same smell of sweat and determination, same sound of gloves hitting heavy bags, same collection of guys working out their problems with their fists. It felt like coming home. I started showing up every morning before work, rebuilding muscles I'd forgotten I had, and clearing my head in ways that Amanda's meditation apps never managed. The physical exhaustion was exactly what I needed to think clearly about my situation. Tyler trained at CrossFit Elite, which was just 2 blocks away. I'd driven past it a few times, noting the schedule posted in the window, the types of cars in the parking lot, the general rhythm of the place, not stalking, just gathering information. On Wednesday, Carla texted me with an interesting discovery. "Your wife's been busy on social media, but not just the inspirational stuff. Check your email." She'd sent me screenshots of Amanda's private messages with her friend Monica, obtained through some method I probably didn't want to know about. The messages painted a very different picture than her public posts. "Jake's been so distant lately," Amanda had written 2 months ago. "I don't think he even notices me anymore." "Have you tried talking to him about it?" Monica had replied. "What's the point? He's always working or watching sports. I need someone who actually pays attention to me." The conversation continued over several weeks, with Amanda complaining about our marriage while Monica offered increasingly supportive responses. Then Tyler started appearing in the messages. "Met this guy at the gym today. Actually listened when I talked about my goals and dreams. He sounds sweet. Is he cute? Very cute, and he thinks I'm amazing. When's the last time Jake made me feel amazing?" The messages got progressively more intimate, with Amanda describing her growing attraction to Tyler and her plans to create some space in her marriage to explore her feelings. "I deserve to be happy," she'd written just a week before her spiritual awakening speech. "If Jake can't appreciate what he has, maybe it's time to find someone who will." I printed out the entire conversation and added it to the file I was building. Evidence, in case I needed it later. That evening, I decided it was time to make my first move. I created a new Instagram account using a photo Carla had taken of me at the gym. Shirtless, mid-workout, looking considerably more fit than I had 6 months ago. Then I posted a single photo with a simple caption, "New chapter, new me." Within an hour, the post had dozens of likes from people I hadn't heard from in years. Old friends, former co-workers, even a few women I'd known before Amanda. The comments were encouraging, supportive, and most importantly, public. "Looking good, Jake. Divorce diet working for you. Call me when you're ready to get back out there." I didn't respond to any of them, but I didn't need to. The message was clear. I wasn't sitting at home pining away. I was moving on. Friday afternoon, my phone rang. Amanda's number. "Hello, stranger," I said, keeping my voice neutral. "Jake, we need to talk. I thought you needed space to find yourself. Did you find her already?" "Don't be sarcastic. This is serious." "I'm listening. I saw your Instagram post. Are you dating someone?" The concern in her voice was unmistakable. This wasn't the confident woman who'd packed her bags and walked out. This was someone who'd just realized that her safety net might not be there when she was ready to use it. "I'm focusing on myself right now, like you suggested." "But you're posting shirtless photos and women are commenting on them." "People are being supportive of my fitness journey. I thought you'd approve. considering how much you've been posting about your own transformation. Long pause. I think we should meet and talk about where we stand. I don't think that's a good idea right now. You said you needed space, and I'm respecting that. When you're ready to have a real conversation about our marriage, let me know. I hung up before she could respond. 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed with a text. This isn't over. I smiled for the first time in weeks. No, it definitely wasn't over. But she was about to learn that I wasn't the same man she'd left behind. Amanda's social media activity changed dramatically after our phone call. Gone were the serene yoga poses and inspirational quotes about self-discovery. Instead, her posts became increasingly defensive, almost frantic. Some people mistake kindness for weakness, she wrote under a photo of herself looking pensively out a window. But strong women know their worth and won't settle for being taken for granted. The comments section was a battlefield. Her supporters rallied with heart emojis and "You go girl" responses, while others asked more pointed questions. Wait, I thought you two were working things out? Wrote her coworker Janet. Isn't Jake the one who supported you through nursing school? Added her old friend Rebecca. Amanda didn't respond to the challenging comments, but I noticed she'd started deleting the most pointed ones. Meanwhile, I was building my own narrative. Nothing dramatic or vindictive, just the simple story of a man getting his life back together. Photos from the gym, pictures of home improvement projects I was tackling, casual shots of nights out with Eddie and the guys. The contrast was working. While Amanda's posts grew more desperate and attention-seeking, mine showed steady progress and quiet confidence. People were noticing. Carla provided regular intelligence updates, including the news that Tyler was getting uncomfortable with Amanda's intensity. According to his ex-girlfriend, who I may have accidentally run into at the coffee shop, Tyler's starting to realize that Amanda comes with more baggage than he signed up for, she reported. Apparently, she's been talking about moving in together and meeting his family. Guy went from casual hookup to potential stepfather in about 3 weeks. What's his play? Same as always. He's already started following a recently divorced yoga instructor on Instagram. Lots of likes on her posts, if you know what I mean. This information gave me an idea for my next move. I started showing up at places where I knew Amanda and Tyler spent time together. Not to confront them, just to be visible. The coffee shop where they had their morning meetings, the hiking trail they'd posted about, the farmer's market where they'd taken those candid photos. I wasn't hiding or trying to avoid them. If anything, I made sure to look completely unbothered by their presence. I'd nod politely if we made eye contact, maybe wave like you would to any acquaintance, then go about my business. The psychological effect was exactly what I'd hoped for. Amanda couldn't enjoy her romantic outings when her estranged husband kept casually appearing, looking fit and happy and completely unaffected by her new relationship. After the third coincidental encounter, Tyler pulled me aside in the parking lot of the hiking trail. Look, man, I don't want any trouble, he said, trying to project confidence, but failing to hide the nervousness in his voice. Trouble? I'm just living my life. This is a public trail. Yeah, but maybe you could find other places to live your life. This is kind of awkward for everyone. I looked him up and down, taking in his carefully maintained appearance and expensive workout gear. Up close, he looked younger than his 28 years, with the kind of soft features that suggested he'd never been in a real fight. Tyler, right? Amanda's mentioned you. His face flushed. She told you about me? She told me about her workout partner, though from what I've been seeing on social media, you two seem to have expanded your training routine quite a bit. We're just friends. I laughed, not meanly, just genuinely amused. Sure you are. Look, I'm not here to cause problems for you. Amanda's a grown woman who can make her own choices. But let me give you some free advice. Be careful what you wish for. What's that supposed to mean? Ask her about the credit card debt she ran up during her last self-discovery phase. Or the time she decided she wanted to be a professional photographer and spent $8,000 on equipment she used twice. Or better yet, ask her about her cousin Brittany's track record with relationships. I could see the doubt creeping into his expression. Amanda's great at the beginning of things, I continued. The excitement, the drama, the feeling like you're rescuing her from something. But eventually, you become the thing she needs rescuing from. I left him standing there and headed up the trail, where Amanda was waiting with a confused expression on her face. "What were you two talking about?" she asked as I passed. "Just guy stuff. Have a great hike." That evening, Eddie called with an update from the bar. "Your boy Tyler was here earlier, drinking alone and looking like someone had stolen his protein powder. Kept checking his phone and muttering under his breath." "Amanda show up?" "Oh yeah, about an hour later. But here's the thing. He didn't seem all that happy to see her. She was doing her usual touchy-feely routine, but he kept pulling away. Body language was all wrong. Trouble in paradise? More like trouble in purgatory. She ended up leaving early, looking pretty upset. He stayed and had 3 more drinks, then started chatting up the new waitress. Perfect. The pressure was working exactly as I'd hoped. Amanda was discovering that her exciting new relationship wasn't quite as stable as she'd thought, while Tyler was realizing that dating a married woman came with complications he hadn't anticipated. But I wasn't done yet. The real test was still coming. The annual Harvest Festival was one of those small-town traditions that brought everyone together, whether they wanted to be there or not. Local businesses set up booths, families wandered around eating overpriced corn dogs, and teenagers tried to look bored while secretly enjoying themselves. I hadn't planned to go, but Carla convinced me it would be good for my public image. "You need to be seen," she argued. "Happy, social, moving on with your life. Plus, Amanda will definitely be there with Tyler, and you want people to see how you handle that situation." She was right. This would be the first time Amanda and I appeared in the same public space since her departure, and half the town would be watching to see how the drama played out. I wore a simple button-down shirt that Carla had picked out, claiming it made me look approachable but not desperate. Eddie met me at the entrance, armed with a strategy. "We're going to walk around, say hello to people, maybe grab some food. You're going to be the most relaxed, confident guy at this whole festival. When people ask about Amanda, you're going to smile and say you wish her well. And when I see them together, you're going to nod politely and keep walking. No drama, no confrontation, just complete indifference." The plan worked perfectly for about an hour. I chatted with neighbors, complimented Mrs. Henderson on her apple pie booth, and even helped Coach Martinez carry some equipment for the boxing demonstration he was putting on for the kids. Then I saw them. Amanda and Tyler were at the ring toss game, with him trying to impress her by winning a stuffed animal. She was wearing the sundress I'd bought her for our trip to Cape Cod last summer, and she'd done something different with her hair that made her look younger. For a moment, seeing them together like that, I felt a pang of something that might have been loss. Not for Amanda specifically, but for the idea of what we'd once been. The couple who used to come to this festival together, who had our own inside jokes and shared memories. Then Tyler missed his throw spectacularly, and Amanda's laugh carried across the crowd. It was her fake laugh, the one she used when she was trying to make someone feel better about failing at something. I knew that laugh intimately. "You okay?" Eddie asked, following my gaze. "I'm fine. Actually, I'm better than fine." That's when I noticed Monica approaching. Amanda's friend and confidant, the one who'd been so supportive in those private messages Carla had shown me. "Jake, I wasn't sure you'd be here." "Wouldn't miss it. This festival's been part of my life for 10 years. How are you holding up? I know this must be difficult." Monica was fishing for information, probably planning to report back to Amanda about my emotional state. I decided to give her something interesting to share. "Honestly, I'm doing great. This whole situation has been a wake-up call. I'd gotten complacent, stopped working on myself. Amanda leaving was probably the best thing that could have happened to both of us. Monica's eyes widened. This clearly wasn't the response she'd expected. Really? You're not upset? Why would I be upset? Amanda's following her heart, and I'm rediscovering who I am outside of that relationship. We both deserve to be happy. But aren't you worried about Tyler? I glanced over at the ring toss booth, where Tyler was now arguing with the teenage attendant about the rules, while Amanda looked embarrassed. Tyler seems like a nice enough guy. I hope he makes her happy. You're being very mature about this. Monica, can I tell you something? Off the record? She leaned in conspiratorially. Amanda and I had been drifting apart for months before she left. We both knew it, but neither of us wanted to admit it. Her leaving gave us both permission to face the truth. What truth? That we'd grown into different people who wanted different things. She needs excitement, drama, someone who makes her feel like she's the center of the universe. I need stability, partnership, someone who's building toward the same future I am. Monica was hanging on every word, probably already composing the text she'd send to Amanda later. So you're not planning to fight for your marriage? I smiled sadly. You can't fight for something that both people don't want to save. Amanda made her choice when she started seeing Tyler before she left. I'm just respecting that choice. She never said she was seeing him before. I let that hang in the air for a moment. Like I said, we both deserve to be happy. I hope she finds what she's looking for. I excused myself and walked away, leaving Monica standing there with a confused expression on her face. 20 minutes later, I was buying kettle corn when I felt someone approach from behind. Jake. I turned around. Amanda stood there alone, looking uncertain in a way I hadn't seen since our early dating days. Amanda, you look nice. Thank you, you look different. Good, different. Thanks, I've been working out. We stood there for a moment, the weight of our shared history hanging between us. Monica said she talked to you earlier. Yeah, she seemed concerned about how I was handling everything. And how are you handling everything? I looked at her carefully, taking in the nervous energy, the way she kept glancing around as if looking for Tyler or an escape route. I'm handling it fine. How are you handling it? It's been an adjustment, this whole process of figuring out who I am. Have you figured it out yet? She looked like she wanted to say something important, but then Tyler appeared at her side, slightly out of breath and carrying a small stuffed bear. There you are, he said, putting his arm around her waist in a gesture that looked more possessive than affectionate. I won this for you. That's sweet, Amanda said, but I could hear the forced enthusiasm in her voice. Tyler looked at me with barely concealed hostility. Jake. Tyler. Nice to see you both. The awkwardness was palpable. Amanda kept looking between us like she was waiting for something to happen, while Tyler seemed to be trying to establish dominance through body language alone. Well, I said finally, I should let you two get back to your festival. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I walked away without looking back, but I could feel their eyes on me. More importantly, I could feel the eyes of everyone else who'd witnessed our brief encounter. By the time I got home, my phone was buzzing with messages from people who'd seen us together. The consensus seemed to be that I'd handled the situation with remarkable grace and maturity. But the most interesting message came from Carla. Amanda's been trying to call you for the past hour. Tyler left the festival early, and she's been wandering around looking lost ever since. I turned off my phone and went to bed. Let her wonder what I was thinking. Let her sit with the uncertainty for a while. Tomorrow, I'd make my final move. Amanda called 17 times over the weekend. I know because I counted the missed calls when I finally turned my phone back on Monday morning. She'd also sent a series of increasingly frantic text messages that painted a clear picture of someone whose carefully constructed new life was falling apart. We need to talk. Please call me back. I made a mistake. Tyler and I broke up. I want to come home. I'm sorry about everything. Please, Jake. I love you. That last message had been sent at 3 in the morning, which told me everything I needed to know about her emotional state. I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I forwarded the screenshots to Carla and asked her to meet me for coffee. She's panicking, Carla said after reviewing the messages. Tyler dumped her, probably after their public humiliation at the festival, and now she's realizing she might have burned her bridges with you too. What do you think happened with Tyler? My source at CrossFit Elite says he's been telling people that Amanda was too intense and had too much baggage. Apparently, she started talking about introducing him to your parents and planning a vacation together. Guy went from side piece to serious boyfriend overnight and couldn't handle the pressure. So now she wants to come back to her safety net. Exactly. But here's the thing, Jake. You hold all the cards now. She needs you more than you need her. The question is, what do you want? That was the question I'd been avoiding for weeks. What did I actually want from this situation? I thought about the Amanda I'd fallen in love with 8 years ago. The woman who'd supported my decision to start my own inspection business, who'd stayed up all night helping me study for my certification exams, who'd believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. But I also thought about the Amanda who'd been complaining about our marriage to her friends for months while pretending everything was fine to my face. The woman who'd started an emotional affair with Tyler long before she asked for space. The woman who'd blocked me on social media while posting photos with another man. I want the truth, I said finally. All of it. No more games, no more manipulation, no more social media theater. If she wants to have a real conversation about our marriage, she needs to be honest about what she's done and why she did it. And if she can't do that, then I'll know where we really stand. That afternoon, I finally called her back. Jake, thank God. I've been trying to reach you all weekend. I know. I got your messages. Can we meet, please? I need to explain everything. Okay, but not at the house. Meet me at Murphy's Diner on Route 9 at 7 tonight. Murphy's was neutral territory, public enough to keep things civil, but private enough for a real conversation. I arrived early and chose a booth in the back corner, away from the dinner rush crowd. Amanda showed up 10 minutes late, looking like she hadn't slept in days. Her hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail, and she wasn't wearing makeup, which was unusual for her. She looked younger and more vulnerable than she had in months. Thank you for meeting me, she said, sliding into the booth across from me. You said you wanted to explain everything. I'm listening. She took a deep breath, and for a moment I thought she might actually tell me the truth. But then I saw the familiar calculation in her eyes, the way she tilted her head and softened her expression. I made a terrible mistake, Jake. I was confused and scared about where our marriage was heading, and I let Tyler take advantage of that confusion. Take advantage how? He pursued me really aggressively at the gym. I kept telling him I was married, but he said I deserved better than someone who didn't appreciate me. He made me feel special and desired in a way I hadn't felt in a long time. The victim narrative, of course. So you had no agency in this situation? Tyler just manipulated you into leaving your marriage? I'm not saying I'm blameless. I should have talked to you about how I was feeling instead of letting him get into my head. But I never meant for things to go as far as they did. How far did they go, Amanda? She looked down at her hands. We kissed a few times, that's all. I swear that's all it was. I pulled out my phone and showed her one of the screenshots Carla had obtained of her private messages with Monica. This is from 6 weeks ago, I said. You're describing in pretty explicit detail what you and Tyler did after your workout session. Want to revise your story? Her face went pale. Where did you get that? Does it matter? The point is that you've been lying to me for months. About Tyler, about your reasons for leaving, about what you've been doing during your spiritual journey. Jake, I can explain. No more explanations, no more lies. I want the truth, Amanda, all of it. Why did you really leave? What did you really want from this whole situation? And what do you actually want now? She was quiet for a long time, staring at the table while tears started forming in her eyes. "I wanted to feel alive again," she said finally. Our marriage had become so routine, so predictable. We were like roommates who occasionally had dinner together. I felt invisible. "So you decided to have an affair instead of talking to me about it?" "I didn't plan for it to happen. Tyler just made me feel beautiful and exciting and worth pursuing." "When's the last time you pursued me, Jake? When's the last time you made me feel like you couldn't live without me? When's the last time you gave me a reason to? You've been pulling away from me for over a year. Every suggestion I made for date nights or trips or activities got shot down. You were always too busy with work or your friends or your latest hobby. Because you never showed any real interest in the things I cared about. I went to every yoga class you wanted to try. I supported your photography phase, your cooking phase, your meditation retreat. I encouraged you to go back to school and supported you through the whole process. What more did you want from me?" She didn't have an answer for that. "Here's what I think really happened," I continued. "You got bored with our marriage, and instead of working on it, you decided to look for excitement somewhere else. Tyler was convenient and flattering and new, but you didn't want to give up the security of being married, so you came up with this finding yourself story as a way to test the waters. That's not... You thought you could have both. The safety net of our marriage and the excitement of your affair. But when Tyler turned out to be less interested in a real relationship than you thought, suddenly our boring old marriage started looking pretty good again." She was crying now, but I felt nothing. No sympathy, no desire to comfort her, no urge to make this easier. "I love you, Jake. I made mistakes, but I love you, and I want to come home. Do you? Or do you just want the security and stability that I represent?" "Both. I want both." At least she was being honest about something. "Here's the problem, Amanda. Trust is like a foundation. Once it's cracked, you can patch it up, but it's never as strong as it was originally. And you didn't just crack our foundation, you took a sledgehammer to it. We can rebuild it. We can go to counseling, work on our communication, start over. Can we? Because from where I'm sitting, you haven't actually taken responsibility for anything you've done. It's all Tyler's fault for pursuing you, or my fault for not making you feel special enough, or just a big misunderstanding that got out of hand." She wiped her eyes with a napkin. "What do you want me to say?" "I want you to say that you chose to have an affair," I said, my voice cutting through the air between us like a blade. "That you chose to lie to me for months, pretending everything was fine while you were sneaking around behind my back. That you chose to humiliate me publicly while you played the victim, acting like you had no part in what was happening. That you chose to throw away 8 years of marriage, 8 years that we built together, for some guy who dumped you the minute things got complicated. I want you to admit it. Say it." Her eyes were locked on mine, and for a moment, I thought she might break down right there, but instead, she let out a slow, shaky breath, a tear slipping down her cheek. Her voice, when it came, was tight but resolute. "Fine. Yes. I chose all of that. I was selfish. I was stupid, and I hurt you terribly. Is that what you want to hear?" Her words were raw, almost desperate, but I couldn't find any sympathy for her in that moment. The pain that had been building inside me for months had finally reached its breaking point, and no amount of apologies was going to fix it now. "It's a start," I said, my voice flat, no warmth in it. "But here's the thing, Amanda. Even if you mean that, even if you're genuinely sorry, I don't know if it's enough." She looked confused for a moment, then leaned in, searching my face. "What do you mean?" I exhaled, trying to steady my emotions, but it was hard to keep the frustration from boiling over. "I mean that I've spent the last month, hell, the last few months, trying to figure out who I am again, trying to remember who I was before I became half of a couple. And you know what? I like that person. I like him. I like not having to worry about whether my plans fit into your constantly changing interests, not having to juggle my life around your whims. I like not walking on eggshells every time I'm around you, trying to figure out if today is going to be one of your good days or bad ones. I like not being taken for granted anymore. She opened her mouth to protest, but I cut her off. You were never taken for granted? Really? When's the last time you thanked me for working extra hours to pay for your school? For putting in the overtime to make sure we could pay our bills when you were too busy finding yourself? When was the last time you appreciated that I did the grocery shopping every week because you hated it? Or that I sat and listened for hours when you vented about your coworkers and how terrible your job was? When? Do you even remember that, Amanda? Her silence hung in the air like a thick fog. She couldn't answer because she knew I was right. I had been there for her. I'd supported her, even when it wasn't easy. But in the end, it had never been enough. I've been a good husband to you, Amanda, I continued, my voice now calm but filled with a quiet rage. Not perfect, but good, loyal, supportive, reliable. And you threw that all away because it wasn't exciting enough for you. Because you wanted more. Something I could never be. Something that I couldn't give you. And you didn't care what that did to me, to us. Tears were welling up in her eyes now, and she reached across the table, her hand trembling. I know I messed up. But please, Jake, we can fix this. We can fix everything. We can work through it. We just have to try. I looked at her, this woman I had loved for 8 long years, and I felt something that surprised even me. Pity. Not anger, not sadness, just pity. Because in that moment, I realized how far gone we were, how impossible it was to turn back the clock. Maybe we could fix it, I said, my voice softening just a little, but there was no going back. But I don't want to. I don't want to spend the next 5 years wondering if you're really happy or if you're just settling. I don't want to check your phone every time it buzzes, wondering if it's him again. I don't want to have to analyze every conversation you have with male coworkers, wondering if there's more to it than you're telling me. I don't want to be married to someone who sees me as a backup plan, a fallback option when things with him don't work out. I won't live like that. I won't. Her face crumpled, and she reached for me, but I pulled back. Jake, please, I'm filing for divorce, Amanda, I said, standing up. You wanted freedom to find yourself? Well, congratulations. You're about to get all the freedom you can handle. No more lying, no more secrets, no more pretending. I grabbed my jacket from the back of the chair, slipped my wallet into my pocket, and reached for the table to drop a $20 bill. My lawyer will be in touch about dividing our assets. You can keep posting about your spiritual journey on Instagram, but leave me out of the narrative. I'm done. I turned and walked out of Murphy's diner without looking back, pushing the door open with a force that made the bell above it ring sharply in the stillness. The parking lot outside was empty, save for a few scattered cars, and the crisp autumn air bit at my skin. The cold felt invigorating, almost like a baptism. It was a reminder that I was still alive, that I was finally free. For the first time in months, I knew exactly what I wanted. No more uncertainty, no more lies, no more wondering if I was enough. I wanted my life back, and I was finally ready to take it.